You've been lied to, not by accident, not by ignorance, but by design. The lie was wrapped in golden words. Kindness is strength. Generosity builds loyalty. Honesty earns respect. And you swallowed it whole because it felt noble, because it sounded right, because everyone around you nodded along like it was gospel. But here's what no one told you. Not your teachers, not your mentors, not even the self-help gurus with their pastel covers and soothing affirmations. Being good doesn't protect you. It exposes you. And if you don't learn how to armor your goodness with strategy, you will bleed out in silence while the world applauds your sacrifice and moves on without you. I'm not here to tell you to stop being kind. I'm not asking you to become cold, cruel, or calculating for the sake of power. What I'm offering you is something far more valuable. The missing manual, the unspoken rules, the hidden architecture that separates those who are used up by their virtue from those who wield it like a master key to unlock influence, respect, and lasting impact. Niccolo Machiavelli didn't write The Prince to teach tyrants how to oppress. He wrote it to show idealists how to survive. He watched Florence burn under the weight of naive rulers who believed morality alone could govern men. He saw saints trampled by wolves disguised as friends. He documented, in brutal clarity, how the generous were drained, how the forgiving were manipulated, how the honest were sidelined. Not because evil won, but because goodness walked into the arena unarmed. You're not weak for caring. You're untrained. And today, we fix that. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you said yes when every cell in your body screamed no? When did you stay late again? Cover someone else's mistake? Lend money you couldn't afford? Listen to a sob story at 2 a.m.? Cancel your own plans because someone guilt-tripped you with, "I thought you were the kind of person who..." And what did you get in return? A fleeting thank you? A hollow compliment? Or worse? Silence, entitlement, the slow creep of expectation that now treats your sacrifice as baseline service. This isn't karma failing you. This is human nature operating exactly as it always has. People don't hate goodness. They exploit its predictability. They don't resent your kindness. They rely on it. Like gravity, your consistency becomes a force others lean into, push against, take for granted. You become the emotional infrastructure of their lives, invisible until you stop holding them up. And then suddenly, you're the villain for daring to prioritize your own oxygen mask. Think about the colleague who never says no, the one who takes meeting notes, organizes birthday gifts, volunteers for extra work, smiles through disrespect. Is she promoted? No, she's overloaded. Is she respected? No, she's convenient. Her name is whispered in hallways not with admiration, but with calculation. She'll do it. That's the first cost of blind goodness. Invisibility. Your value evaporates the moment your availability becomes infinite. Scarcity creates reverence. Abundance breeds contempt. Machiavelli knew this. He wrote, "Men are ungrateful, fickle, false, cowardly, covetous." Harsh. Maybe. Accurate? Absolutely. He wasn't diagnosing monsters. He was describing humans under pressure, under temptation, under the quiet calculus of self-interest that governs even the most well-meaning souls. You don't need to become cynical. You need to become conscious. Conscious of when your kindness is building bridges, and when it's paving roads for others to drive over you. Conscious of when your honesty is fostering trust, and when it's handing enemies ammunition. Conscious of when your generosity is planting seeds, and when it's feeding parasites disguised as friends. This video isn't a condemnation of virtue. It's a coronation, a reclamation. We're taking back the throne of strategic goodness, where mercy is measured, where boundaries are non-negotiable, where your heart operates with the precision of a surgeon, not the chaos of an open wound. Let me tell you about Sarah. Brilliant marketer, worked 70-hour weeks, covered for lazy teammates, never missed a deadline, smiled through condescending feedback, gave credit away like confetti. When promotion season came, they chose Mark, the guy who took credit for her ideas, left early every Friday, and once threw a chair in a meeting. Why? Because leadership doesn't promote servants. It promotes symbols. Mark looked decisive. He looked unafraid. He looked like he wouldn't apologize for existing. Sarah looked nice. And in the theater of power, nice is background noise. This isn't fair, but fairness is a child's prayer in a war zone. Adulthood means understanding the game before you play it, and rewriting the rules if you have to. Machiavelli's greatest insight wasn't the ends justify the means. It was this: perception is power. Reality is negotiable. If people believe you're weak, you are, regardless of your actual strength. If they believe you're a pushover, you become one. Not because you changed, but because their behavior toward you did. Your goodness must wear armor, not to hide it, to protect it, to ensure it lasts long enough to matter, to make sure you don't burn out before your legacy begins. Imagine two doctors. One gives free consultations to everyone, works 18-hour days, cancels vacations to answer patient calls, eventually collapses from exhaustion. The other charges fairly, sets office hours, delegates tasks, protects her energy, and over 30 years, heals 10 times more people because she never broke. Who was kinder? The martyr or the strategist? Kindness without sustainability is performative. Impact without endurance is a footnote. You want to change lives? Start by refusing to let your own life be consumed in the process. Drop this in the comments right now. I am not a resource. I am a ruler of my energy. Say it. Claim it. This isn't arrogance. It's stewardship. Every yes you whisper when you mean hell no is a withdrawal from your soul's bank account. And unlike money, you can't earn more soul energy by working overtime. You replenish it by guarding it, by choosing where it flows, by saying this matters and that can wait, with equal conviction. The second cost of blind goodness: resentment. It starts as a whisper. Why do I always have to be the one? And grows into a scream trapped behind your teeth. You smile while bitterness crystallizes in your chest. You help while silently keeping score. You give while fantasizing about slamming doors. This isn't you becoming toxic. This is your integrity fighting back. Your psyche screaming that imbalance cannot be sustained. Healthy relationships aren't built on endless giving. They're built on rhythmic exchange. Like breath, like tides, like dance. Inhale, exhale, give, receive, push, pull. When you only exhale, you suffocate. When you only give, you vanish. Machiavelli warned rulers never to let subjects grow accustomed to favors. Benefits should be granted bit by bit, so they may be better savored. Translate that to modern life. Don't flood people with constant availability. Make your presence intentional. Make your help memorable. Make your generosity an event, not an expectation. Surprise them with excellence. Don't bore them with consistency. The person who helps occasionally is celebrated. The person who helps always is scheduled. Be the thunderclap, not the hum of fluorescent lights. And when you do say no, say it like a gift. I wish I could, but protecting my capacity lets me show up fully when it counts. No apology, no justification. Just truth wrapped in velvet. They'll respect you more for the boundary than they ever did for the sacrifice. I know what you're thinking. But if I start setting limits, won't I lose relationships? Won't people call me selfish? Let me answer with another question. What relationships are you preserving now? The ones where you're taken for granted? The ones where your needs are footnotes, the ones where your exhaustion is someone else's convenience. Those aren't relationships, they're transactions. And you're the one paying in emotional currency. Real connection thrives on mutual respect, not martyrdom. Anyone who leaves because you stopped bleeding for them wasn't with you. They were with your utility. Let them go. Their absence makes room for those who value you, not just your output. Third cost, misalignment. Blind goodness scatters your energy like buckshot. You say yes to everything because it's the right thing to do. Volunteer committees, family obligations, friend emergencies, co-worker crises, until your own dreams gather dust in the corner. You postpone your book, your business, your healing, your joy, because someone else's urgency always trumps your purpose. Machiavelli would call this strategic bankruptcy. He wrote, "A prince must have no other object but war and its rules." For you, replace war with mission. Your mission is your kingdom. Guard its borders. Tax its resources wisely. Invest only in alliances that strengthen your throne. Every distraction you tolerate is a rebel army chipping at your foundation. Ask yourself brutally, does this request serve my highest purpose? Does it align with my values? Can I fulfill it without resentment? If not, decline with grace. Execute with focus elsewhere. Your legacy isn't built on how many people you pleased. It's built on what you created while they were busy taking you for granted. So drop this next affirmation. I am loyal to my purpose before I am available to others. Write it. Live it. Watch how your world rearranges itself around your priorities instead of theirs. We're just getting started. In the next section, we'll dismantle the generosity trap. Why your giving is breeding dependency, not gratitude, and how to flip the script so your kindness becomes legendary instead of expected. But for now, breathe. You're not broken. You're awakening, and the world isn't ready for what happens when a truly good person learns how to fight. You think generosity is a virtue, and it is, until it becomes your cage, until the people you help stop seeing you as a human and start seeing you as a function. A button they can press when their life glitches. A vending machine that dispenses emotional labor, time, money, forgiveness. On demand. No questions asked. No maintenance required. That's the second layer of the trap. The generosity illusion. It feels noble in the moment. You give, they smile, dopamine fires. You feel like a hero. But beneath that warm glow, something darker is growing. Dependency. Not the healthy kind built on mutual trust, but the parasitic kind built on predictable supply. Think about it. When you lend money to a friend for the third time, do they thank you? Or do they just send the Venmo request faster? When you cover for a co-worker's laziness again, do they express gratitude? Or do they start assuming you'll handle just one more thing? Human beings adapt fast. What shocks them today bores them tomorrow. Your extraordinary kindness becomes their ordinary baseline. And the moment you try to recalibrate, to say, I can't this time, or let's find another solution, you're not met with understanding. You're met with indignation. But you always, I thought you were. What changed? Nothing changed. You simply stopped feeding an addiction. And addicts don't miss their dealer. They resent them for cutting off the supply. This isn't malice, it's mechanics. Psychology has a name for it, hedonic adaptation. We get used to good things. The first slice of cake, ecstasy. The 10th, obligation. The 100th, annoyance. Apply that to your relationships. The first time you drove across town at midnight to pick up a crying friend. Hero status. The 5th time, expected service. The 10th, you're late. Your generosity didn't build loyalty, it built entitlement. And entitlement, my friend, is the silent killer of respect. Let me tell you about David, software engineer, brilliant, quiet, always said yes, helped colleagues debug code at 11 p.m., fixed his sister's laptop every weekend, lent his brother rent money for 3 years straight, never complained, never set boundaries. Then his mother got sick. He needed 2 weeks off work, asked his team to cover minimal tasks. Their response? Can't you just remote in? His brother? I'm tight this month. Maybe next. His sister? My presentation's due. Can you still fix my Wi-Fi? David didn't cry. He didn't yell. He sat in his car and laughed, a hollow, broken sound, because he finally understood. His endless giving hadn't made him loved. It had made him infrastructure, replaceable, invisible, taken for granted like plumbing or Wi-Fi's, noticed only when it stops working. Machiavelli saw this 5 centuries ago. He wrote, "Benefits should be conferred gradually, so that they may taste better." Translation: scarcity amplifies value. Abundance annihilates it. A single act of extraordinary generosity, timed perfectly, delivered unexpectedly, echoes for years. Constant, predictable giving, forgotten by lunchtime. The psychology is brutal but simple. Humans assign worth based on effort and rarity. If something costs you nothing, it means nothing to them. If you never say no, your yes loses all meaning. So how do you break the cycle? First, audit your giving. Write down every yes you've given in the last month. Not the big dramatic ones, the small soul-eroding ones, covering shifts, listening to rants, lending chargers, editing resumes, driving carpools. Now ask, did any of these acts move you closer to your dreams? Did they energize you? Or did they leave you drained, resentful, wondering why no one reciprocates? Be honest, brutally honest. Second, implement the 3 gates rule before saying yes. Gate 1, does this align with my core values or goals? Gate 2, can I fulfill this without resentment or self-sabotage? Gate 3, will this person truly appreciate it or just expect it? If you can't answer hell yes to at least 2 gates, decline. Not with guilt, not with over-explanation, with calm certainty. I can't commit to that right now. Full stop. Watch how quickly people learn to value your time when it's no longer infinite. Third, rebrand your generosity. Make it intentional. Make it memorable. Instead of helping everyone a little, help the right people enormously. Instead of being vaguely available, be fiercely present for strategic moments. Example, rather than answering every Slack message instantly, block 2 power hours per week, where you dive deep into mentoring high-potential colleagues. Your impact multiplies, your energy conserves, your reputation shifts from nice doormat to selective powerhouse. Drop this affirmation. My generosity is a scalpel, not a faucet. Say it daily. Live it ruthlessly. Now let's talk about the backlash. Because when you start setting boundaries, some people will react like you kicked their puppy. They'll guilt trip. They'll passive-aggressively sigh. They'll say things like, "You've changed," or "I guess you're too busy for me now." Good. Let them. Their discomfort is the tax you pay for reclaiming your sovereignty. Anyone who weaponizes your past kindness to manipulate your present choices wasn't your friend. They were your user. And users hate upgrades. They want the old version. The one that didn't ask questions, didn't charge fees, didn't have system requirements. Too bad, you're not software. You're a sovereign human being with finite energy and infinite potential. Protect the latter by limiting the former. Machiavelli warned princes never to let subjects grow accustomed to favors. For benefits, if conferred bit by bit, are better savored. Modern translation, drip feed your greatness. Make people wait for it. Make them earn it. Make them remember it. The colleague who gets your full attention during a scheduled mentorship. Call will value you more than the one who interrupts you 10 times. A day with quick questions. The friend who receives your undivided presence during a quarterly coffee date will cherish you more than the one who texts you at 2 a.m. expecting instant therapy. Scarcity isn't cruelty, it's curation, and curation creates legacy. I know what you're thinking. But won't people think I'm selfish? Let me reframe that. Selfishness is taking from others without regard for their needs. Self-preservation is protecting your capacity so you can keep giving strategically. Big difference. Airplane rule applies. Secure your mask first. Not because you matter more. Because if you pass out, no one gets oxygen. Your drained, resentful, exhausted self helps no one. Your energized, focused, boundary-honoring self. That's a force multiplier. That's the person who builds movements, heals communities, leaves legacies. So drop this next line in the comments. I give on purpose, not on autopilot. Claim it, own it. Watch how your relationships transform from transactional drains to intentional alliances. Now let's expose the third layer of the trap, the mask of virtue. Society doesn't reward actual goodness. It rewards the appearance of goodness. Think about the most respected people you know. The CEOs, the influencers, the community leaders. Do you think they got there by being genuinely nice to everyone? Or by mastering the art of strategic perception? They smile for cameras. They make hard decisions behind closed doors. They show mercy when it builds loyalty, and show steel when it commands respect. This isn't hypocrisy, it's wisdom. Machiavelli wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." He wasn't endorsing fakeness. He was acknowledging reality. Perception shapes power. If people believe you're weak, you are, regardless of your actual strength. If they believe you're indecisive, you become irrelevant, even if you're making brilliant moves behind the scenes. Your goodness must be visible, but never vulnerable, like sunlight through stained glass. Beautiful, controlled, directional, not a floodlight that blinds and burns you out. Real leaders understand this. They know when to wear the velvet glove and when to reveal the iron fist inside. They don't apologize for protecting their vision. They don't justify saying no to distractions. They don't beg for understanding when they prioritize their mission. They simply act and let their results speak louder than their explanations. Think of it like surgery. A doctor cuts you open, causes pain, draws blood. Is she cruel? No, she's curing. Strategic goodness operates the same way. Sometimes helping someone means saying no to their immediate desire. Sometimes leading a team means making unpopular decisions. Sometimes loving a friend means refusing to enable their self-destruction. The mask isn't deception, it's discernment. Knowing when to show your softness and when to armor up. Most people get this backward. They bare their throats to wolves and save their fangs for safe spaces. Smart operators do the opposite. They show strength to threats and vulnerability to allies. They understand that true safety comes not from universal niceness, but from calibrated authenticity. Drop this affirmation. I control what the world sees and protect what matters most. Repeat it. Internalize it. Your image isn't vanity, it's currency. Spend it wisely. In our next section, we'll dissect the economics of power, why every yes has a hidden cost, how to budget your energy like a billionaire, and why protecting your resources isn't selfish. It's the foundation of lasting impact. But for now, breathe. You're not becoming cold, you're becoming conscious. And consciousness is the first step toward true, unstoppable, strategically armored goodness. Let's talk about cost, not the emotional kind, not the relational kind, the cold, hard, mathematical kind. Every time you say yes to a favor, a request, a quick chat, a last-minute crisis, you are spending currency, not dollars, something far more valuable. Your energy, your focus, your future. Most good people never calculate this. They operate on moral autopilot. If it feels right, do it. If someone needs help, give it. If guilt whispers, you should obey it. And slowly, silently, they go bankrupt. Not financially, spiritually, creatively, strategically. You can't build an empire on exhausted bones. You can't change the world with a drained soul. And yet, that's exactly what blind goodness demands of you. Give until you're hollow. Serve until you're invisible. Sacrifice until your dreams are museum exhibits, labeled what might have been. This is the fourth layer of the trap. The economics of power. And Machiavelli understood it better than anyone. He didn't write about morality. He wrote about resource allocation, about how rulers must conserve their strength, guard their borders, invest only in alliances that yield returns. Because weakness isn't punished, it's consumed. Think of yourself as a sovereign state. Your energy, your treasury, your time, your territory, your attention, your military. Every distraction you tolerate is an invasion. Every boundary you fail to enforce is a breached border. Every yes you whisper when you mean no is a withdrawal from your reserves, with no deposit in return. And unlike money, you can't print more energy. You can't take out a loan against tomorrow's focus. You can't beg the universe for an extension on your lifespan. What you spend today is gone forever. So why do you keep giving it away like confetti at a parade? Because no one taught you the math. No one showed you the ledger. No one told you that generosity without strategy is fiscal suicide. Let me show you the balance sheet. Column A, what you gain from saying yes. Temporary approval, fleeting gratitude, the dopamine hit of being needed. Column B, what you lose. 2 hours of deep work on your passion project, 1 night of restful sleep, the mental space to solve your own problems, the emotional bandwidth to nurture your most important relationships, the momentum toward your goals. Now tally it up. Is column A worth column B, really? Or are you trading diamonds for pebbles and calling it virtue? I know a woman, let's call her Elena, brilliant writer, spent years ghostwriting for influencers while her own novel gathered dust. Why? Because saying yes felt noble. Because they really needed me. Because it's just 1 more week. 10 years later, she's editing someone else's memoir while her own story remains unwritten. Her generosity didn't build bridges, it built her prison. Machiavelli would call this strategic failure. He wrote, "A prince must not have any other object but war and its organization. For you, replace war with mission. Your mission is your kingdom. Guard its resources like Fort Knox. Invest only in ventures that yield compound returns, not emotional IOUs that expire by morning. Start treating your energy like a billionaire treats capital. Audit every expenditure. Demand ROI, cut losses ruthlessly. Here's how. First, implement the 24-hour rule. When asked for a favor, never answer immediately. Say, let me check my schedule and get back to you. Then, actually check, not just your calendar, your energy forecast. Will fulfilling this request leave you inspired or depleted? Will it move you closer to your goals or further into debt? If the answer isn't a clear, hell yes, decline. Politely, firmly, without apology. Second, create an energy budget. Allocate percentages like a financial planner. 50% to your mission-critical work, 20% to strategic relationships, 15% to self-renewal, 10% to spontaneous generosity, 5% to emergencies when a request falls outside these allocations. It's not rejection, it's reallocation. I'd love to help, but my energy budget for mentorship is fully allocated this quarter. Can I connect you with someone else? Watch how quickly people learn to value your time when it's clearly finite. Third, master the art of strategic delegation. You don't have to do everything yourself to be good. In fact, insisting on doing it all is the opposite of virtue. It's ego disguised as altruism. Real generosity multiplies impact through leverage. Teach others to fish instead of handing them your catch. Empower colleagues instead of covering for their incompetence. Say, I believe in your ability to handle this. Let's brainstorm solutions together instead of, I'll just do it for you. This isn't coldness. It's catalytic kindness. Drop this affirmation. My energy is non-negotiable currency. Say it daily. Live it fiercely. Now let's address the guilt. Because when you start protecting your resources, some part of you will whisper, but isn't this selfish? No. Selfishness takes from others without regard for consequences. Stewardship protects your capacity so you can keep giving. Strategically, sustainably, powerfully. Airplane rule applies. Secure your mask first, not because you matter more, because if you pass out, no one gets oxygen. Your drained, resentful, exhausted self helps no one. Your energized, focused, boundary-honoring self, that's a force multiplier. That's the person who builds movements, heals communities, leaves legacies. I learned this the hard way. For years, I said yes to everyone. Every podcast interview, every quick favor, every late-night crisis text. I thought I was building goodwill. Instead, I was burning my life force at both ends. My own project stalled. My health declined. My creativity flatlined. And the cruel irony, the people I helped most rarely noticed, let alone reciprocated. That's when I realized unlimited availability doesn't make you indispensable. It makes you disposable, like office coffee, always there, never appreciated, replaced without ceremony when it runs out. So I changed the rules. I started saying no, not with anger, but with clarity. I can't commit to that right now. Full stop. No justification, no guilt, just truth. And something miraculous happened. The world didn't end. People didn't hate me. In fact, they respected me more. My yeses became valuable again. My time became sacred. My energy became renewable. Machiavelli wrote, "He who wishes to be obeyed must know how to command." You cannot command others if you cannot command your own resources. You cannot lead if you're perpetually depleted. True power begins with self-governance. Drop this next line in the comments. I am the CEO of my energy. Claim it. Own it. Watch how your world rearranges itself around your priorities instead of others' emergencies. Now let's expose the fifth layer. Strategic use of virtue. Goodness isn't weak. Weaponized goodness is unstoppable. Think of your kindness as a sword. Left on a shelf, useless. Wielded by a master at the perfect moment, legendary. Most people swing their virtue wildly, helping everyone, everywhere, all the time, exhausting themselves for minimal impact. Strategic operators do the opposite. They sheathe their sword most days. They observe. They wait. They choose their moment with surgical precision. Then, when the timing is perfect, when the recipient is ready, when the impact will be exponential, they strike. One act of perfectly timed generosity can change a life. 10 acts of scattered, exhausted giving, forgotten by noon. Martin Luther King Jr. didn't waste his energy on petty conflicts. He focused his moral force on pivotal moments. Birmingham, Selma, the March on Washington. Mother Teresa didn't try to save everyone. She poured her entire being into Calcutta's poorest of the poor. Their goodness wasn't diluted. It was concentrated, laser-focused, devastatingly effective. Apply this to your life. Instead of helping 10 people superficially, help one person transformationally. Instead of saying yes to every request, Say yes powerfully to the few that align with your mission. Ask 3 questions before committing. Does this serve my highest purpose? Can I deliver excellence without resentment? Will this create lasting impact? If not, decline. If yes, go all in. Make it unforgettable. Drop this affirmation. I wield my goodness like a master craftsman. Repeat it. Internalize it. Your virtue isn't diminished by selectivity. It's amplified. In our next section, we'll dismantle the illusion of gratitude. Why human nature guarantees your kindness will be forgotten. How to make your impact unforgettable anyway. And why the people who appreciate you least are usually the ones you help most. But for now, breathe. You're not becoming calculating. You're becoming conscious. And consciousness is the birthplace of true, enduring, strategically armored power.